everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing really well. This week's video is a little bit different. So last Thursday I took part in a local event that was held by a writing group in my area called Write by the Sea. So it was an event that was all about publishing and writing and different author journeys depending on like the routes you kind of take. So it was myself, a self-published author, and then K.H. Irvine, a traditionally published author, and we were basically chatting about how our experiences differed, how sometimes they were quite similar, and then we just took a load of questions. So I did manage to record quite a bit of the sessions, so I've got quite a bit of footage that I'd like to share, so I will play that in a second. And yeah, I thought maybe you'd just like to see it. It's a little bit different. I'm trying to get involved in more kind of local things as well as stuff online. I'm trying to find the balance between doing both of those things. So if you've got any questions either about self-publishing or publishing or this kind of event, then I'd love to chat to you. Please let me know in the comments. Thanks.
Hannah, why did you decide to self-publish?
There were a few reasons really. I am a marketer by trade, so I just wanted the control really. And also, because it was easier, it's quite a bit easier. The barriers to entry are a lot lower to self-publish, it's a lot quicker to self-publish. It can be more expensive, but that's swings and roundabouts, it depends what you prioritise. And I really prioritised kind of owning every step of the journey, so I wanted to be able to design the cover myself and design the layout of the book myself and just like go through the printing process and literally just control everything. So that's what I want to say.
You're a control freak.
Yes.
Karen, why was you offered a publishing deal and how did you get it?
Yeah. Well, I would like to be a control freak, but I don't have the expertise to have done it myself, so I don't have that kind of background. I twice had an agent, and my book is, for those of you that haven't read it, is about a female jihadist in London, and therefore is both topical and controversial. And I had twice a very, I guess I would say world-class agents, so agencies that everybody would know. And I was dropped twice because of events that happened. So the last one that I had offered a very big deal that was going to go to auction, and then when the Westminster Bridge attack happened, they didn't want to publish it anymore because they were frightened. And so I was thinking about self-publishing at that point, and then met Matthew Smith, who is one of the people at Urbane who made an offer, and I went with it. So it was not through an agent, it was independently done. But I thought I was going to do it through an agent and an auction, and it all kind of fell apart at the last minute for that.
Hannah, where did you get your idea from?
I was in a cafe in Folkestone, not this one, so I won't name it, sorry guys. Actually, I don't think you were around when I started this, so it's fine. So the cafe's called Brew, and I was sat in there meant to be doing my day job, and this lady came in, and I always worry that this lady is going to find me and she's going to recognise who I am. But she came in and she just started doing really bizarre stuff. She was doing the like stereotypical like lining things up on the table, and just like looking over her shoulder and acting really, really sketchy. So she just became my main character, and I just kind of pretended I was her, and just went from there. And I'm sure she's lovely.
Well, it certainly keeps you gripped all the way through. You never know what she's going to do next. What about your front covers? How does that differ from self-publishing to having a publisher?
Well, one of the things about a publisher is they actually create a set of pictures for you. So they have the synopsis of your book, and I think they sent me maybe 30, and then I picked 2 or 3, and then they kind of change it. So one of the big things in my book is the jihadist is white, which is quite important, therefore she could have brown eyes, so we changed it from brown eyes to green, so they actually did the artwork for me. The thing that this is much more your day job. So one of my very good friends works for a big company called Ogilvy's who do kind of branding, and I could not come up with the bit on the front, you know, the tagline, and slightly annoyingly, I said to him, "Can you come up with the tagline?" So he sat at his kitchen table with a bottle of wine and came up with about a dozen that were absolutely brilliant. So mother, daughter, terrorist was him at his kitchen table.
Yeah.
So they took mother, daughter, terrorist and then they created the picture. I did buy him a very nice bottle of wine.
For mine, I kind of treated it how I would do stuff at work. So in my day job, I write briefs to people that I would read, only I can't afford them, so it definitely wasn't them.
Neither can I, he was a mate.
So I kind of wrote out a brief, and then I found someone online, it was a German lady actually, who had done a book cover for someone else I knew, and I really liked book covers, so I approached her with a brief, and then 2 weeks later she just came back with a few different goes at the cover. They were all kind of similar, they were just like small things I wanted to tweak, so I just tweaked them.
Alright.
I'm really sorry, that's my puppy. Sorry.
Joining in.
Sorry.
How long did it take you from, let's say, the first thought to writing, and then writing to publishing?
All in, from the first thought to having it in my hand, was around 18 months. I think it took me about 9 months to actually write the first draft. And then my process is to print it off and then literally put it in a box and ignore it. And I ignored it for about 6 weeks. And then I went back to it 6 weeks later, tore it apart, rewrote some of it, and then I gave it out to beta readers. So I had a group of 10 people who read it and then fed back their thoughts. So their thoughts could be grammar, could be just about anything, storyline, character development stuff. And then I rewrote it again, and then published. So yeah, I think it probably took about 6 months to actually publish it,
Right.
following having written it and edited it.
Okay.
You're really quick. I think I thought about it for about a decade, but actually, in the time that I was thinking about it, I had a full-time job and 2 kids, and therefore I just couldn't find enough space. So I think I thought about it for a long time. I was just telling Hannah that I started, it was my 50th birthday present to myself, that I thought, if I don't ever, I'm never going to do it if I don't do it now. And my lovely husband up there was very supportive, which was I then took a week out of work. I work for myself, so I took a week out every 6 weeks for about a year to try and get the first draft. And then I went through the editing process, which took about another 6 or 8 months. And so it probably took me 2 years to try and go from, I think I've got a decent version of it, and then probably some tweaks that came after that. But one of the, it's funny you said about, you know, the lady in the cafe. So I had been thinking about it for a long time, but the big trigger for me is there was a, you remember those girls that went from Bethnal Green?
Yeah.
You know, the kind of 15-year-old kids that went through the airport, and the papers wrote a kind of backstory about the fact that so many women were actually heading out to places like Syria, but kind of almost completely under the radar. It was all about men, and because I had wanted to write a woman's story, that was quite a bit like yours, so that was a kind of trigger point for me of actually, when I started to research it, there are far, far more women than you think actually go out there, and increasingly are the women with the AK-47s, not just the women in the kitchen, you know, making the food. So there was quite a lot of it. I was thinking about it for a long time. I think it sort of bubbles for a long time.
For anybody that doesn't know, could you explain about beta readers?
Yes, so a beta reader is someone that reads your book before anyone else, essentially. So mine was after my second draft, so I literally printed it off and just selected some people that I knew to read it. They basically read it, and they're meant to critique it from a storyline perspective, so as if they were your audience, but quite often you get grammar stuff picked up as well. And then when they send it back, it's full of red pen. and then you just go through it and edit it.
Did you do all your editing yourself?
So one of the big lucky things that I had is that one of my friends, who miraculously remains a friend given what we've been through together, had been an editor for Bloomsbury, and then she had kids and couldn't and was at home looking after them. And I think she probably has potentially regretted it. She said, I'll give it a quick read. And 5 years on, she's still, I've never let her go. So actually she did an enormous amount for me. And she actually lives in Melbourne. So we used to do I'd have a cup of tea in the morning and she'd be on a gin and tonic at kind of 8 o'clock at night, and we would do it back and forth that way. So I think that was just a real piece of luck, and she was fantastic.
How else did the publisher help you?
So things like the cover, stuff that I don't know that Hannah does. So how do you actually get it printed, get the copy? They had people who then went through with a fine tooth comb around the grammar. I actually thought I was quite good on grammar until somebody else went through it with a fine tooth comb and realised I wasn't nearly as good as I thought I was. So, that sort of stuff. And mine follows a really quite tight timeline. And again, I thought I'd gone through it with a fine tooth comb and they picked some of that stuff up. So some of that real detail. But also, because Urbane's quite a small publisher, one of the things that I was eternally grateful for is Matthew, who is the kind of main sales director. He literally got in his car with the books and sat on the doorstep of the Sun until they would review it. And I don't think I could have knocked on the door and got into the Sun, and they were the first people to review it. So that was quite a big thing. So getting them to take a look at it, they wrote a review in the Sun. Whatever you think of the Sun, a lot of people read it. So it was so things like that, and some of the stuff around, just getting it out. So I met Karen at the Rochester Literature Festival, so they organised that. So just getting out to talk to people, the kind of marketing stuff that you would know that I wouldn't, was just really, it was helpful for me.
How did you go about or think about how you was going to sell it? How was you going to get it out there? And when you self-published, did you do it through Amazon?
Yeah, I did do it through Amazon. Yeah, Amazon makes everything a lot easier. There are pros and cons to doing it with a local company, and I'd love to be in a financial position where I could do it with a local company, but it's just not viable. I think when I was writing it, I don't think I knew it was going to end up as a book. So when I first started writing it, I just thought it was something for me. It's the first thing that I'd kind of written that was big enough to be a book. I've written lots of short stories and poems and things, but not a novel. So when I was writing it, it didn't really enter my head that I could sell it. So when I kind of decided to, I don't really know when I decided to, just thought I'd just give it a go and see what happened. I just kind of took what I learned from work and just tried to use that for the book. So there are lots of things that I couldn't really do, so obviously getting reviews from newsmakers and things. So I tried to focus more on the local elements, so go for local bloggers, kind of local groups and things. I just tried to use what was around me to try and sell it, and it's worked so far.
Yeah. I think you definitely got the word out, didn't you?
Yeah. I had a launch event, which was very nerve-wracking. I think in a way that was more nerve-wracking than the actual book. I did not know what I was doing at all. So I had a launch event where I did reading, and just sold some books and had a chat. It lasted a few hours, and that was really nice. And that definitely got the word out. So I think I had about 60 people turn up. So I think there's an awful lot of people in Folkestone that do right. But just to talk about it.
Definitely.
So I think sticking to local, but then on the flip side, being on the internet as much as possible. I know a lot of people shy away from it and they don't really like it. That's self-promotion and YouTube and stuff, but I think it's helped hugely.
Can you give us sort of about Amazon? So how do you just send them like your A4? How do you do it?
So you don't send them like a printed copy or anything,
No.
I wouldn't know where to begin sending them anything printed. So you basically sort out the digital file. So you'll have your Word doc, and then you have to format it so that it looks like it is a book. And then once you've got it all formatted, then you send it to them in a digital file, and it takes about 72 hours-ish. So you send off the file, and then they review it, and then if it's okay, then you're done.
Anna, when you first approached Amazon, did you have to give some sort of covering letter, or did you have to introduce yourself and say, I wish to be published, or what, how simple was it?
It's really simple. So Amazon have a publishing program. It's I can't remember the name of it, but it's run by Kindle.
KDP.
KDP. Oh, Kindle Direct Publishing.
Kindle
there you go.
Direct, yes.
So you literally, it's just like a platform you go onto, and you can upload your manuscript. And if they're happy with it's mostly the format. I'm not even that convinced they read it.
No, they don't.
I don't. I mean,
No,
how
they
they
don't
read
read
it.
it.
No, there's so much stuff.
Do they censor it, or do they do it?
No censoring.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, which is sort of the issue with self-publishing a little bit, because you do find, I think a lot of people have a gut reaction when you talk about self-publishing, so they might think, oh, it's self-published, like it's going to have a cover that was made on clip art and lots of spelling mistakes, and actually quite a lot of stuff does have that. But if you take pride in your product and you put it up there, then it's fine. But there is quite a lot of stuff that's not really edited particularly well, and that's why, because you can just upload it. So as long as it's in the correct format and you've got a cover that they're happy with, they'll let you sell it.
So how do you then collect from there your following? You just put it out there and just hope that the right people are reading it, presumably?
Yeah, you have
It's
to.
a bit more complicated.
It's a little bit more complicated. So I kind of look at Amazon as like the shop front, because I won't actually get to a real shop. So I put my book in the shop, but now I have to get people to go to the shop.
Right.
So that's why I use social media. So it's the easiest way to do it, and the most cost-effective way to do it. So with the YouTube videos, we're driving people to the Amazon page. Everything I do on Facebook drives people to that Amazon page, and reviews. Reviews are the best way to do it, to get lots more traffic.
And as to how you actually got onto Goodreads to read, it's okay if you're a reader, but getting onto Goodreads as a writer, how does it work?
I found it a little bit harder actually, Goodreads and Amazon. I don't think it's as friendly to use, but you do have to set up. It's really backwards. So what I did, I wrote the book, got it on Amazon, and then I had to add the book to Goodreads before I made a profile. So you get the ISBN from your book, and then you basically load the book manually onto Goodreads, and then you can say, you can claim it, so I am the author of this book, and then you link it to your Amazon profile. It's really backwards.
I find Goodreads is really good as a reader.
Yes.
It's great. Because I put all the books that I'm sort of currently reading, like as I get them from the publisher, I put them on there. And then it keeps a tally as well, and that's how I know how many books I've read. And that's my first review. And then I do all the others. What about pricing? How did that go for each of you?
No control.
No control at all.
They priced it, so mine went onto BookBub for $1.
Did you get a good buck deal?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, you have to sell an awful lot of books to make any money out of $1. I could tell you. But yeah.
If you get a deal with BookBub, it is an instant.
And they did, and it was quite interesting actually, because it created a huge spike at the time. It didn't sustain them, so it sort of did that. But it was a great thing to get, but it's interesting to listen, because actually I have no idea how any of it works. So the publisher got it onto BookBub, into Goodreads, so they did that. But on pricing, no control. The only time I think there was any control, as he said, is that, can we put it on for $1? Are you okay with that? None of us will make any money. It will just be about presence, and so we won't lose any money, but we won't make any money. So no control.
Was that digital, or was that printed? You said.
No, so it's digital. I think you can't follow through and get a physical book, but I think the idea is it's digital, and it goes on in a kind of bundle. There might be a few books that go on for that week, and it's for a very limited time. So if you buy it in the fortnight, you get it for $1. It's that kind of thing.
Price-wise for me, I literally just researched the average price of a novel in England.
How sensible.
And that was that.
Yeah.
But
We-
Amazon guides you as well on that.
Yeah,
just
they give
to
you
make sure
some-
you're not being
Yeah,
totally
you're not
silly.
going like way off.
And then what I did learn from the publisher is that the average income of an author over the course of his or her life is £7,000. So for every J.K. Rowling, there's an awful lot of us that just don't have any money.
So that was all of the footage I managed to get from the event. There was a bit more, only my camera died. Yeah, wonderful technology, organised as always. So if you have any questions, I would love to hear them, whether those questions are about publishing, self-publishing, generally writing, or like these kinds of local events. I find a lot of benefit in these local events and getting to know your community, as well as getting to know your online community. So yeah, let me know in the comments. If you did like this video, please do give it a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe to my channel, and I will see you next week.